Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. And I'm really excited to share the insight from a client that I have here, Kunal. And I speak to thousands of executives. I've seen it all. And I will tell you, Kunal is one of the most elite C-level executives I've met. Not only his track record in e-commerce, just from Amazon, Yelp, he scaled startups all the way up to 400 million. I mean, there's very few people that know that type of level of talent required to succeed in a big company plus scale startups. And so I'm really interested to get in his brain about all the ways that we can really transform companies using AI technology for people that are really looking to take their business to the next level. So Kunal, thank you so much for making time for us today.
Oh, my pleasure to be here. Thank you, Olivia, for having me.
So I'm going to just dive right in. Obviously, you've been at some big companies like Amazon, Microsoft, and you've got a really elite tech background. But when it comes to this new idea of like people talk about achievement at that level, it almost feels like everybody's doing it. So you kind of think it's just normal in your world. But I'd love to hear from your perspective. What is the achievement that you're most proud of in your career?
Oh, great. Well, for me, it's really the turnaround of a company called Caspian. At the time, it was called eTails. Caspian and eTails is nothing but a platform for brands to grow their businesses on marketplaces such as Amazon, Walmart, Target, eBay, among others. And the turnaround there was one that was very successful and one that I'm really proud of. When I joined the company was doing, negative 28% year over year in revenue. EBITDA was negative. The core business was suffering. The CEO and founder was just fired by the board. So you had this cultural issue in the company where people were leaving, there was attrition, etc. So they needed someone to really come in and help transform the company and take it to this new digital age of sorts. And that's what we exactly did. This three-pronged strategy that I came in with. Number one, just take the core business and clean it up, get that business to be profitable. That also involved, creating sort of a long-term strategy, rethinking the culture, rethinking what our mission, vision, values are of the company, like just sort of doing a cleanup of the core business. Then it was really about, how do we now reposition this company for the digital age? People say digital transformation, for example. In our case, what that really meant was being able to open up new business models, thinking through, is there a subscription business that we can leverage here? Is there a tech-enabled agency business that we can leverage here? Can we move to other high profitable sort of businesses within the core platform itself? And think really in terms of, can we make Caspian a platform as opposed to just a retailer that it was at the time? And then, once we have this platform strategy in place, how do we now scale it? How do we go from Amazon in the US to Amazon in the UK, Amazon in India, Amazon in Australia? How do we take that and go to Walmart? How do we go to eBay to go to Target? So cleaning up your core business, expanding to becoming a platform company, and then taking that platform and then going global was really how we thought about it. The net result was, the stock price when I joined was $3 a share. When I left, it was over $50 a share. We had four solid quarters of profitable performance, and it's just a end-to-end transformation that I personally am very proud of.
Wow, that's huge. That's immense growth. How long did it take to go from the $3 to $50 stock
Oh,
price?
it was a good like year and a half to two. So
Wow,
it was quite fast, and the
that's
first
very fast.
6 months was a lot of yeah. First 6 months was that phase one where we really focused on cleaning things up and getting the culture right, the new strategy, the new mission in place, and then once we had that and we talked to investors, announced it to the market, then the story was a lot believable. The numbers were showing, and then yeah, the market rewarded us.
You can't fake data like that, right? That's impressive.
That's right.
Thank you for sharing because you brought up digital transformation, and this is a term that I hear thrown a lot with tech executives, and it seems to mean different things to different people. I'd love to hear, what does digital transformation mean to you? Because that's really what you come in and you completely transform these companies. But what does that truly mean?
Yeah, see, digital transformation is a little bit of a misnomer in general, but by and large, really what digital transformation means is it's fundamentally how a company can change to create value. It's not about just saying, well, I'm going to adopt a bunch of new tools and I'm going to, start adopting technology. It's really reimagining, how I do business, the business models that I'm part of. It's reimagining the operations of the business. It's reimagining customer experiences. Maybe it's as simple as, hey, my customers need to shop online now. So I need to have e-commerce capabilities along with how I sell today. Maybe it's I got to pivot into and or add on a subscription business model. It's the automation of certain knowledge work or processes to help me enable better decision making. It's the talent part of my organization. I've got to really think through the kind of talent that I'm attracting to the organization, the culture that I'm creating in the organization to enable consistent innovation at rapid scale. And so it's this combination of strategy, talent, technology, adoption across the enterprise towards a roadmap that's long term and that's consistently evolving and changing is really how I think about digital transformation. So it's not this one and done, I'm going to transform my company. It's this evolution, utilizing the latest and greatest and making sure that you're always adapting to the new world is how I think about, digital transformation as a whole.
Nice. It's so much more holistic than just software tech upgrade systems.
100%. It's holistic and it has to touch every aspect of how you interact with customers, how do you interact with employees, the kind of employees you're getting into the company, the process to be able to align incentives with these employees. Like everything matters as part of a transformation, and that's what's moving a company into a new age.
Very nice. So as you're going into these businesses, they're underperforming, EBITDA is negative, or who knows, right? What would you what would your first step as CEO be if you're stepping in and it's like the business is upside down?
Yeah, I mean, it's going back to some of the classic steps that one should follow, right? It's always let's assess where we are today. Let's make sure that we have a clear view on what our current strengths are, what our current weaknesses are, the opportunities and threats, the classic, SWOT analysis, one needs to perform. You've got to think through. Step two is really thinking through, what's my strategy now going forward, right? What are my different business goals? What's this sort of new strategy that I'm going to put in place, or an existing strategy that I want to sort of adapt, to make sure that it's aligned to maybe these new business goals that I'm setting. So this kind of going back to the basics first is very important. Like let's assess where we are. Let's try to put a new strategy in place first. Then sort of you think through now I'm going to figure out how I'm going to execute on that strategy. And unfortunately, in cases where you are the company is underperforming, the first step typically is to cut a lot of the projects that are pretty useless at some level. And when I go into companies, I see a number of companies just investing in projects that are, pretty much wasteful. They're not giving you the right return on the investment that CEOs put in. They're not aligned to the right business goals. They're not aligned to that long-term strategy, for the company. And so those are sort of the three high-level steps, right, that I typically start off with. It's just like let's go reassess where we are. Let's go make sure that we're clear on goals, clear on the long-term strategy. Let's build a new roadmap now to execute on that strategy. And as part of that new roadmap, you've got to cut a bunch of stuff that is just not performing right now. And let's just start with a clean slate. And then, once you're done with those steps, then you start executing on your new strategy using a new approach. And that new approach typically is very different from, companies, pretty much not using a more modern way to, to operate. And, examples of the new approach are you operating in a very agile manner? Do you have the culture of things that can move quickly, that you can break things, that you can collaborate very, very fast with the right set of folks? Do you have smaller teams in place? Do you have the right capabilities in the company in terms of the people that you're hiring into the company? So there's all these like little things that need to change, even fundamentally from how the company operates, to make sure that you can execute on this new roadmap. So that's sort of how I think about things is, start small, start slow, but go back to some of the basics. But then when you're executing going forward, use a new approach after you clean things up.
Absolutely. So is it tough to be that turnaround guy that has to clean it up house? Because essentially there's a lot of tough decisions made really quick to do that kind of job. It takes a level of detachment.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's tough, right? Like, no doubt, sometimes in cases like these, you've got to, when you cut projects, you've got to cut, employees sometimes, unfortunately. And so, but, that's what's got to be done. It's very simple, right? Like, if the company doesn't exist, then no employees exist. So, you
Exactly.
have to make the tough decision to be able to say, let's save the company. Let's make sure that we can turn it around. Let's make sure that we are now operating in this modern age. And then in some cases, unfortunately, we'll have to let a few people go.
Yep, just to get aligned with the new strategy and vision. Got it. Okay. So
100%, 100%. And some people, just to that point, Olivia, you'll see a lot of people in companies like these. There'll be people that are willing to sit on the bus with you, and then there are some folks who just don't want to be in the bus. And in those cases, it's actually better for them to go on a different route as opposed to sitting on a bus that they're not aligned with.
exactly. Yep, you find out quick, I'm sure, as you're starting to set that new direction. So I want
100%.
I know AI is a big hot topic right now, and I was reading a study, and all the business owners know they need it and they want to use it, but only 5% had actually adopted it. So I'm really curious from your perspective, you're heavy in the tech world. How do you think that we can immediately start to use AI to scale businesses, optimize businesses? What's your perspective on that?
Yeah. Look, AI is going to fundamentally change how businesses operate, period. Just a few use cases, hyper personalization. You can think about, how companies can tailor their products and services to be, personalized to individual customers and do that at scale. That could reshape industries, completely. When you think about Amazon, Amazon's the classic old, now today it's, been around for a while. But if you think about Amazon, every store, every customer, when they interact with Amazon, they see their own personalized experience. They were one of the original pioneers of, like, presenting AI to the world. You can think about predictive analytics, right? Imagine, anticipating customer needs, forecasting trends, optimizing your operations in real time, gaining significant efficiency gain through that. Imagine making decisions a lot faster. It will facilitate a lot more speed in how you move, and that's going to help you become more competitive in a modern world. You can think about automation of knowledge work. Things like, any complex cognitive tasks that you're doing. I'm spending 2 hours a day trying to build lead lists and trying to, score all my leads. All that can be done by AI automatically. Like, things like that are just going to fundamentally change, how we do work, how businesses do work. And, on one scale, on the other side, could be rapidly changing how industries, operated before in the past. And so I think, the AI age is here. It's here to stay. It's going to only evolve from here on. And it's my high recommendation to CEOs and companies to really get on this AI bus like as soon as you can. And now it's easier said than done. And I completely understand that. There's a capability gap out there for CEOs or organizations in general. And so my recommendation to CEOs is to start with AI. You've got to first take a step back and start with your core data and infrastructure capabilities. When it comes to AI, it's only as good as the data that's powering it. And so being able to really figure out your data story is going to be very, very important. And unfortunately, a lot of companies are still even behind on the data side, right? So they're still catching up to cloud, or they're still trying to figure out, where their data lives. Data lives in different silos across organizations. Consolidating all this data is going to be the first step there. The second step is really to start upskilling their workforce, right? You've got to start building capabilities internally into your company. You've got to start having, internal engineers and employees really, understand the utilization of AI, being able to, and so that piece on upskilling your workforce is going to be very, very important. And then it's about executing. And when it comes to executing, I think a lot of CEOs get inundated with, well, I've got to think through AI across my entire company. And my recommendation is to not get inundated, but in fact start slow, right? Just pick one or two projects that 100% is going to be low hanging fruit in any organization that's going to, that can utilize AI today. For example, you can think about, I have customer service in an organization. It's likely that you can introduce an AI bot there, right? And just start piloting some core projects internally in the company that you can start utilizing AI and start building those capabilities slow and steady. And when you're doing that, fundamentally change how you operate. Operate just like a tech company would, agile, in the way they're small teams that can move fast, that can fail fast, that can experiment and learn quickly. Look at that small team that's working on an AI project just like another startup or a small internal startup in your company. And can you start building even that rigor of what it takes to really start thinking like more of a tech company? So that's really how I would approach it: is you not get inundated, just start building the capabilities, get your AI, get your data story right, and just slowly and steadily start implementing small projects within the company. And over time, you'll realize, over 2-3 years, you'll realize that a lot of your companies utilizing AI, you'll start seeing significant revenue and cost advantages.
Really good advice. Just start small, build piece by piece, get people not afraid of it, not overwhelmed with the change and the new level of intelligence. Well, for them, it's going to make decisions easier, essentially, right?
100%, 100%. I think CEOs should be very excited about AI because, one thing that we do all the time is we get paid only to make good decisions, right? Now
Yeah.
imagine, and the quality of your decision is only as good as the data that's powering it. And so, being able to have access to data, having an AI assistant, an agent, being able to parse that data and give you more information and help you facilitate a decision even faster, help you predict trends, etc., a lot better, is just going to make our jobs a lot easier.
Absolutely. Well, as we wrap up, I have one last question for you because there's so much knowledge that you're dropping on us and value. And if you're looking at a business leader right now that wants to scale their company fast, like some of the results you've done, what's the biggest advice you would give to them?
Yeah, 100%. So when it comes to scaling fast businesses, I go back to the classic, what are the other businesses that have scaled fast out there? And can we learn from some of these businesses? And that's what I typically do in any company that I come into as well, is just look at, how can I apply the best from the tech industry that have scaled really quickly into maybe another business that is struggling or trying to turn around or trying to grow faster, like you said. So one recommendation I would highly have is, think like a platform business. And, platform businesses are like Amazon or, Airbnb or Uber, or one of these sort of businesses that facilitate interactions between, two sides of a marketplace of sorts. Those businesses are ones that are really, really scaled up very, very quickly. So are there business models in your industry or in your company today that you can leverage to become more of a platform, as opposed to just being a sort of more old school like business? Then I think I keep talking about getting your data story and your cloud story right. People have not even adopted the cloud, let alone getting their data ready to go. So being able to really consolidate that, being able to ensure that your infrastructure is ready, because it all comes down to decision making. You can grow fast if you can make decisions faster. The decisions are going to be made faster if you have access to really good data. And so cleaning up your data to facilitate better decision making will help you move faster as a company in general. Speed of growth is also a function of the people within the company, and how fast can they move in terms of execution. So the more data you can give them, the better decisions they can make, the faster you can grow. Then it's about talent. Speaking of talent, you want to start sort of again rethinking the culture and how you operate as a company. I again go back to how do some of these tech companies operate? They operate in small teams. They operate in a very agile manner. They operate through the lens of let's try something and fail quickly and then pivot fast. And so how do you adapt those sort of methodologies into your organization, right? And can you start building that culture of experimentation within your organization and creating these small teams that can be independent and execute quickly is another approach that I would take. And then finally, I would say, like, think in terms of ecosystems, right, as well. Another way to grow really faster is through acquisitions, partnerships. Don't just think that I've got to sell organically only. There are other ways to be able to grow your business very, very fast. And so, what opportunities can you leverage in terms of partnering with other companies? Can you go buy a few companies, and be able to leverage those aspects of the ecosystem in general to get some scale. So it's really a multi-pronged strategy, Olivia. It's you gotta think through, of course, the elements of, can I fundamentally change how I do business? How do I fundamentally change internally how I operate? And how can I leverage the broader ecosystem at large? That's how I would think about it.
That's phenomenal. And thank you so much because I just see you light up with so much passion about growing companies. And I talk to so many executives. I just feel you're a force of nature. So I just know that anyone that has you there, it's going to be waves no matter what the moment you enter the room. So if anyone wanted to connect with you just to learn more about how you can impact their business, how would they reach out to you? What's the best way to reach?
Yeah, the easiest way is to just, you can go to my website. It's kunal-chopra.com, or you can just email me at kunal@kunal-chopra.com. And, I'll happy to connect with anyone who wants to learn more. You can obviously connect with me on LinkedIn too.
Great. We'll link to that below. And thank you again for all your time.
Of course, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, Olivia.